Hey class, welcome back to our science class. And today we're getting back into our energy transfer and transformation book, and we'll be diving into chapter 4 today. So if you haven't watched chapters 1 through 3, please go back because those are the foundation and they build upon each other, and that will help you better understand and grasp what we're learning today. In chapter 3, we talked about how speed and energy are related. The greater the speed, the greater the energy, and we can know that there's greater energy because of the greater change that takes place. We talked about some examples were when you throw a baseball, if you throw a baseball lightly, it doesn't really hurt your hand. Your hands probably won't even move if you catch the ball. But if someone were to throw the ball really hard and throw it a lot faster, so the speed was higher, and when it hits your hand, you could feel that it could hurt. Your hand would go back farther because of the greater change from the greater energy. And so we're going to dive into chapter 4, learning a little bit more about energy transfer. So let's call attention to the big question. What evidence shows that energy transfers from place to place? So as we read, let's learn and look for answers to this question. What evidence shows that energy transfers from place to place? Okay, 1 second, I'm going to move these a little bit. Just my monitor so I can be reading and looking right at you, making sure you're paying attention. So let's start reading and follow along with me. Your friend, let's say Scotland, is standing still on a skateboard. She asks you to give her a gentle push. Your friend starts out at rest, but when you push her on her back, she moves down the sidewalk, rolling away from you. Energy causes that change. When you push your friend, your motion energy causes her to change from being at rest to moving on the skateboard. When you push your friend, you cause an, what does that say, Joshua? Energy transfer from you to your friend. And then let's pause and read the energy transfer definition. And as a reminder, with each chapter, you should have your chapter vocabulary. Some chapters have a lot of vocabulary words, some chapters have very little. And remember to use the definition that you find in this book and not copy and paste a Google definition, okay? And then you also have the big question discussion post that you're supposed to participate in, and please do not copy and paste an answer to that. Okay, so let's read this together. Energy transfer means movement of energy from one object to another or from one place to another. All right, so here's another word to know, evidence. Evidence is anything that helps you or helps prove or disprove an idea. Your own observations or information and facts presented by others can be used as evidence. Scientists and engineers use evidence to support explanations about how and why things happen and to improve their solutions to problems. All right, let's start reading this, Ella. Energy transfers between objects and contact. All right, if you kick a soccer ball or kick a ball that it hits, if you kick a ball so that it hits a second ball, what happens? You can think about a soccer ball, or maybe some of you guys have played billiards, or maybe you call it pool with the stick. When you hit the cue ball and it hits another ball, what happens? When you kick the first ball, you transfer energy from your body to the first ball. The position of the ball changes as it moves. When the first ball hits the second ball, it transfers its motion energy to the second ball. Now the position of the second ball changes too. These changes in motion are evidence that energy has transferred from one object to another. All right, so let's zoom. Let's just look at this really quick. It will load. Okay. So we're going to look at some trick shots on pool really quick. So as we can tell, this guy he has his stick right? And he's going to use his stick to use energy to hit one ball, and that ball hits another, and then it transfers that energy to that yellow ball, and now the yellow ball has transferred energy to the red ball. Watch, right? So energy, he uses his muscles to move the stick. It's the one ball, transfers energy to the another ball, and now this yellow ball still has energy and it's moving, and now it's going to transfer energy to this red ball. That was a little example of what we were just reading about. Okay, even though we were talking about soccer or hitting a soccer ball, that shows it in a different way. So energy transfers in different ways. All forms of energy, including light, heat, electricity, and sound, are ways that energy transfers or moves. Energy can transfer from one object to another. Energy can also transfer from one place to another. You have seen examples of energy transfer between objects that touch each other. But are you in contact with the sun when you see its light? Light can transfer energy over long distances through space. This energy transfers happens without the motion or contact of objects. Okay, so let's learn a bit more about light energy. Looks like this little girl got sunburned. So light transfers energy from a light source, such as a light bulb, to your eyes. The energy of light causes change in your eyes. These changes allow you to see things around you. The sun is another light source. Light from the sun transfers across 150 million kilometers of space to reach Earth. That's 93 million miles that the sun's light travels to reach us here on Earth. You can see the sunlight reflecting off your skin. Too much of the sunlight can cause an unpleasant change, sunburn. The sunburn is a change, evidence that energy was involved. Wow, pretty crazy. Who thought about being sunburned was actually energy being transferred from the sun to your skin? Did you guys know that? Alrighty, Gabriella, what's this next paragraph say? Sound transfers energy. Let's read this together. Sound energy often comes from objects that are not touching you, but it causes changes you could hear and sometimes feel. Sometimes when you honk a horn, when a horn honks nearby or a firework goes off, the sound energy pushes the air and you feel a push from the sound. And I want to pause really quick. Some of you guys probably have headphones or headsets and listen to music. Do you ever feel that sound, that bass kind of moving and that rumble? That's sound transferring energy. So such changes are evidence that an energy transfer happened. All right, Sonny, what does this paragraph say? What's the heading of this? Heat transfers energy. Good job. So energy also transfers from place to place as heat. If you pour hot tea into a cool cup, soon the cup gets hot. Let a spoon rest in the tea and soon the spoon gets hot. This is because heat energy transfers from the tea to the cup and to the spoon. The heat energy causes a change. It changes the temperature of the cup and the spoon. The cup and spoon becoming hot is evidence that energy has transferred or moved because the heat in one material, the tea, moved and produced changes in other objects, the cup and the spoon. And so let's pause. Let's first think, how did the water or the tea first become hot? Well, it could have got hot through either an electric stove, so electricity causing heat to transfer heat from the stove to the pot, which transferred that to the water to heat it up. Or maybe you have a gas stove, and so the flames causes heat, which is causing energy to transfer from the flames to the pot to the water to create the hot water to become the hot tea. All right. Now, electricity transfers electrical energy. So a light bulb without electricity is just a thing made of glass and metal. But when you add electricity energy to the bulb, what changes? So if you add electricity energy to the light bulb, what happens? It lights up and becomes a source of light, changing room from dark to brightly light. The glowing light is evidence that energy has moved from one place to another. The transfer of electrical energy causes the change from an unlit bulb to a lit bulb. So we can see and have evidence that energy is transferring from an object to another, that electricity, to the light bulb to turn on and light the room. And then the light is transferring energy and bringing light to a dark room. Energy is transferred from place to place by electricity. Like all forms of energy, electrical energy moves from place to place and causes changes. You've probably seen power lines strung between poles along a road, like this right here. These wires transfer electrical energy from power plants to homes, schools, and businesses. The electrical energy transferred through these wires causes change when it is used to heat up your toaster or light your room. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so let's learn how we can transfer energy to improve our society. Engineers often solve problems by making energy readily available and useful. Scientists and engineers work to find new and better ways to use different forms of energy and transfer them from place to place. Hydroelectric power plants use a series of energy transfers so that the motion energy of water can be converted to electrical energy. Pretty crazy, right? We can use these devices to capture the motion of the water to contain the energy as electrical energy. We also talked about in previous chapters the windmills that you've probably seen, especially if you've driven across the plains of America, those big white windmills with the big propellers. Those, when they spin from the wind, it captures the wind motion and the wind energy, and it stores it as electrical energy so that it can be used. So this is talking about a reservoir. The movement of water, a kind of motion energy, is one of the many forms of energy in this dam. So this dam is holding the water so it doesn't spread into this on land, and they have this canal where the water, and it goes through this intake where the electricity is stored from the motion of the water, right? Let's read this together. When water is needed for electricity, it is allowed to flow through the intake area. These arrows are going. Once it is in the intake, the water travels in an underground pipes until it reaches the turbine. This flowing water has energy of motion. Okay, so hydro meaning water, electric power uses flowing water to move large spinning turbines. The motion energy of the turbines causes a change that produces electrical energy, and then the energy of the electricity moves through the wires over long distances from place to place. Now here's the beginning of the picture, the water coming in through this canal, right, this intake area, and then it's going to spin this turbine, right? The turbine is a machine that looks like a fan. The flowing water transfers its motion energy and causes a change. The blade move, spinning faster and faster. And then the generator, the motion energy of the turbine blades is transferred to the generator. A generator converts motion energy to electrical energy. Energy, again, moves from object to object. And then we have these long distance power lines that take this electrical energy and transfers it from place to places like our homes, schools, and businesses. All right, let's look at some real life dams. We have the Hoover Dam, was built on the Colorado River at the border where Nevada and Arizona meet. We can see in this photo how the dam holds water back in a great reservoir. When water is allowed through the dam into the lower river, the moving water transfers its energy to equipment inside the dam, right? Like the turbine and the generator. This middle picture of a different dam shows how water moves through a hydroelectrical plant with a great deal of energy. So these engineers are building the turbines that go inside a hydroelectric dam. Energy from the moving water transfers to turbines like these in the form of electricity through power lines to buildings where people work and live. And that is it for chapter 4. So before we end, let's go back to our big question and see what we learned. So what evidence shows that energy transfers from place to place? So our first example is when you push your friend either on a skateboard or on some rollerblades, you're transferring energy from you moving your muscles to the person that's standing at rest to start moving. We talked about how the sun is transferring energy through heat to us to, give us a tan or a sunburn, to give us vitamin D, it gives us our body energy, it gives it energy to the plants. We talked about energy from electricity to a light bulb, which lights the light bulb and brings light into a dark room. And then we just were talking about water energy, how water energy is able to be used to spin a turbine, and that turbine starts getting electricity, which is to a generator, and that generator is able to transfer that energy, that electricity, from the generator through those power lines to places like our homes, businesses, and schools to be able to bring light, into a place, or heat, right? If you're using electrical heat. So those are some hints and tips to help you with your big question. I will see you guys in the next lesson.